Welcome on. I'm very excited to talk to
Thank
you. I've
you.
been wanting to talk for a while. Would you like to do just a quick introduction? Who are you?
My name's Ari Mack, but most people know me as Ari Mnemonic. I'm an artist, a musician, and a registered yoga teacher with the Yoga Alliance here in the US. That's pretty much what I do and what people know me for.
Yeah, which is pretty incredible. I love all of this. The arty stuff, the yoga. Actually, I want to know more about that too. How did we get connected? I think
I
through
think I started
Pure
following
Blood
because
initially.
Tommy Vex was posting you doing the competition stuff.
Uh huh.
Um, and you were running Pure Blood, and I was like, okay, I gotta follow this chick. Like,
Yeah.
there aren't many women that are just inspiring in ways that are beyond showing. You can show skin, no judgments, y'all do you, but you have a message like behind that too. Like, not only do you look good because you put in the work, you always have a message that you're trying to spread, whether it's positivity, health related, something. And I want women like that. And I was like, yes, I need to follow her.
How did you get into yoga? And what kind of yoga do you
I
do?
started all kinds.
Mm
My stepmom got me a yoga and Pilates video when I was about 10 years old.
hmm. Mm hmm.
We were trying anything to help with the pain. I didn't know it was undiagnosed cancer. Didn't know that till years later. But as soon as I started menstruating, I was in a bunch of pain and we just couldn't do anything. So certain yoga poses I found relief in, even just like child's pose, stuff like that.
Mm hmm.
So I really started incorporating that, anything natural, because the medical system wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. And I was being dismissed most of the time. So I just really fell into yoga. That was the only thing I had.
I'm all about it. And it's all about the breathing. That's really what it is.
Yes.
Learning
The
breathing, and
breathing
it's important in
techniques,
everything.
you don't realize how much breath is important until maybe something happens, like maybe you have an injury or something, and you're like, oh, wow.
Mm hmm.
Which did happen. Like, my diaphragm was in shock after my surgery. And that's when
Mm
I didn't appreciate the breath work in yoga until then, until I came out of surgery and they were like, oh, hey, you're going to have to relearn how to breathe. Like, you're in shock.
hmm. Mm
Really
hmm.
force yourself to take breaths. And that's when I fell into breath work and really, really appreciated it.
I used to be one of those people. I used to have allergies. So I taught myself to breathe with my mouth only, thinking that that was fine. Now, fast forward, I don't have allergies or anything. Now I understand why certain things in my life were just not good back then. It makes so much sense now because I couldn't breathe properly. And it's very smart to make basically the entire world population allergic because then we can't breathe and then we can't use our minds properly and then nothing in the body works properly. So, all about it.
It made me reflect on everything. Like, at a young age, I kept getting strep throat to the point where I had my tonsils and adenoids removed by the time I was in kindergarten. That's
Mm-hmm.
very young. Um, and then I stopped, but like and it never like occurred to me again until I was older and I was diagnosed with cancer. I was like, I was sick all the time as a kid. Like, I kept getting strep throat until I had that removed. And even now it's like, at points, where does this mucus come from? And then I'm realizing, like, literally all the lactose, anything involving milk, like cheese, ice cream,
Have you ever
which
tried
I think was
raw?
fueling this stuff as a kid.
Have you tried raw
Pardon?
dairy? Have you tried raw dairy?
Because of you posting stuff, I was getting into that. See, I live in rural Maine, where it's hard to find certain farms and stuff like that. And I know you said you have it in your area, which is great.
I
It's hard to
moved,
find a
so I
connection up there.
right now I actually don't. So I'm looking for a new place here, but since I left Las Vegas, so I don't
Okay.
know just of now. Raw cheese I've been able to find, but not raw milk yet. But I'm looking. Did the raw
See,
dairy
it
work?
did. I can do that, and it doesn't make me sick. The mucus isn't there. I had a very bad problem with like sugar addiction, and I didn't realize until after my cancer diagnosis how much my diet and poor education was fueling my sickness. Um, so it was a problem. Like, it was really an addiction, and I didn't realize just how bad it was. Uh, so every now and then I still will indulge, not the way I used
Mm-hmm.
to, but like, I knew a place was closing. I had some ice cream recently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little mucusy, not as much as I would have been since taking those pills, since taking the Acemannan. Like it's like night and day difference. I would have been on the bath, like in the bathroom, like not to be too, but like
Oh no, you
the
can be.
lactose would
I
go like,
used to be that
yeah.
person too.
But now I can actually eat it, enjoy it, and I'm just going to be a little stuffy, a little,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just a little mucusy, just in
Mm.
my nose, and then I'll be fine like the next day.
I
Um,
think also like
which
the
is
kind of like the journey is that because I used to also have a sugar addiction. I used to binge eat on certain days and I would eat so bad and it's probably fueling my sickness. But fast
mhm,
forward, then I started getting healthier and I got less cravings. So I had it less. And now I'm where I don't even do it. I bake all of my treats myself now. But that's a journey to get to. So maybe like your next step is, hey, how do I make my own ice cream, something that is delicious and easy to make that I really like? And maybe one day you won't even go there, you know? So it's always like
yes.
you don't switch everything overnight.
No, right. And like you've been a huge inspiration. I've been trying to follow people, especially over the last few years. I don't want to use that word that gets everyone, but
Mm-hmm.
you really saw people's true colors.
Oh, yeah.
And I only wanted to follow
Oh,
people
you can
that was
say
going
whatever
to
you want, Carl.
inspire.
You can
Okay.
say
Yeah, no, since the pandemic, like everyone, you really saw who people were.
mm-hmm.
And I can only be around and want to follow and support people that are going to inspire me to be the best version of myself. And watching you and others, I'm like, okay, like these things are implementable. Like maybe not all, like you're saying, overnight. Like it's not going to change like that, but one day at a time, especially depending on your, say, your budget,
Mm-hmm.
how you live. Are you middle class, poverty level, all that stuff? So it can be difficult to learn and to have access to things, but it's happening. You just got to keep working
Mm-hmm.
hard at it. You got to keep
You
working
also
hard at
get
it.
you get smarter and then eventually you eliminate other things, meaning your priorities change. So if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would never have spent money on certain things, while today some of these things are the most important thing in my life, but then there are other things that I would rather not do. So, the more we learn, all we can do is try to be better. And I think that whenever you follow somebody, which is people might look on, I had one video that was going very, people were going crazy where I was looking at the sun and people thinking that I am saying to you, go out and stare at the sun for 30 minutes. But that's not what I said. If you have never done this before, how about you start with 2 seconds and see how it feels? It's the same if you've
Yeah.
never been to a gym, you're not going to go in and train with a bodybuilder your first time. Like, you take baby steps and you ease into things. Like, I am brand new at MMA, so the other day I torn something in my knee because I overestimated myself a little. But the good thing is I do biohacking, so I'm healing. I'm on my 5th day and I can already walk, so I'm fine. But instead of now being stupid in this, I actually today starting a functional movement program that's going to teach my body to move in every direction, because in bodybuilding we don't do that. So now I'm like, okay, Maaxx, I have to start from square one. I can't jump in and do a pro class, which they let me do one day. They let me do it because I'm an athlete and I shouldn't. So now I have to be humble with that. Like, I am not good enough for it yet. So you have to do
No,
everything in the
MMA,
right order.
yeah, I mean, I only did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but that'll humble you. It'll, if you don't come into it with any vulnerability, it's gonna
Mhm.
put you in your place. And if you can't
Oh, yeah.
handle that, yeah, you're gonna get frustrated, and there's the
I've been
door.
put in my
Like,
place several times in these months here now. So, but I like it also because in
yeah,
bodybuilding, if you come, like, I know a lot. I know a lot, a lot. So if somebody comes to train with me, I probably know more. And I actually like that I don't know here. And because I love to learn things. And
yes,
it's fun to be the best sometimes, but when you're the best, you're not growing. So,
hmm,
you have to find the things where you are not the best. I think we need it.
you need that
And
challenge.
yeah, definitely. Actually, I want you to talk about your art. So, I love your art, obviously. And this is my favorite mug.
Thank you.
And I'm drinking the aloe vera focus in.
Oh, yay!
Yeah.
And that was incredibly kind of you to support small art. I do all sorts of dark and delightful, colorful arts, mixing horror and fun stuff. I don't know, cute stuff,
Mm-hmm.
whatever comes to mind. Or people ask for commissions. Sometimes those are fun, sometimes not so much. But
So
yeah,
what
those
got
jelly
you?
monsters.
Have you done art your whole
Sorry,
life? Have you done art your whole life?
what? Kind of. I started creating art and got into music because of my granny, and then it was just like a form of therapy. She used to
Mm-hmm.
draw, and I used to like watch her and learn her techniques and stuff. And she used to sing and whatnot, and probably got me into everything that I'm into now because of
Mm-hmm.
her, I had to guess.
And
Um,
so, what, like, when do you do art? Do you feel a certain way when you do it, or do you do it to, like, kind of release something? Do you know what I mean?
Both.
Like, what triggers your
Sometimes I don't.
creativity?
Yeah, I sometimes there's stuff just I guess raging in there, and I don't know what it is until I get to either a canvas or maybe I'm doing it digitally. I don't know, but when it's out and it's done, and I'm like, oh, okay, apparently that's what I needed to do. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Sometimes those are the most surprising pieces that people are into. Sometimes I have an idea in mind where I'm inspired. You know, maybe music is probably my biggest inspiration, that or horror movies. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll be watching something or listening to something. I'm like, you know what? This would be so cool to go in and make an image. And I'll usually try to shout people out online, whether they care or not. Like, hey, you inspired me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a mix. Yeah, sometimes it's just literally like I'm saying therapy. I don't even know what it is until it's out and done, and I'm like, hi, I feel better and great.
Mm-hmm. So you told me a little bit about like your health journey, but I want to like dig into it. So what is it that you have been through? How was it, and where are you now?
It
Mm-hmm.
started at a young age. I started menstruating at about 10. A lot of pain, like right off the bat, something was wrong. And we could only afford like the free clinics, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them were just like, cysts on your ovaries, they rupture, it's going to be painful, no big deal. And that's what I heard for most of my life until I was a young adult, and I was like, I like this. There has to be something else going on because this isn't normal. And a lot of the time when I went in, they would like dismiss me as an addict just trying to seek drugs or something when I didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you tried to prescribe me that, I wouldn't have it. So that was frustrating, not being like listened to. Eventually, in my late 20s, I went into an ER. The dude I was seeing at the time was like, this isn't right. Like a doctor needs to see you like this.
Mm-hmm.
Basically dragged me to the ER where they were like, you might have endometriosis. We're going to recommend you to a specialist and see what they have to say. Eventually that led to, oh, it's not endometriosis, it's ovarian cancer during the laparoscopy. And it's just, we're actually going to have surgery now, like
Mm-hmm.
remove it, do everything now. Like, it kind of wasn't planned. It was just like, oh, you're going to come in, we're just going to see, like with the
Mm-hmm.
camera, no big deal. Turned into, no, it's cancer and it's coming out now. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And it had spread. It wasn't just my reproductive system anymore. I mean, I had a tumor that stretched from one ovary to the other. I can't remember the exact dimensions, but it was huge. It was like 15 centimeters by 17 centimeters by like
Mm-hmm.
20 centimeters. It was wild. The fact that no scans had really picked it up between all the
Mm-hmm.
ultrasounds, the CAT
Heard that
scans, the
before.
internal ultras. Yeah, like then it had spread. It spread up to my diaphragm. It had got into my bladder, my bowels. I had a catheter for a long time after my surgery. They weren't sure if my bladder was going to work again properly. Even it did, thank goodness. So it was a mess. I was a I was a mess. And my surgery was 2016, and healing from that has been a nightmare. Like I said, between the catheter being prolonged, HRT was a nightmare. Nothing worked. It made me suicidal, actually, made me crazy moody, which is something Acemannan has helped me with because I've been driving myself nuts trying to find a balance since having a hysterectomy, and nothing has really helped.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it's been a nightmare. So I've only recently started to balance out physically to where I've kicked all the sugar addictions. I've been able to gain weight. Like I got down to 80 pounds after my surgery. I'm
Mm-hmm.
only 110 now, but it's a lot, and it
That's
it
still a
took
lot
so
more
much.
though. Yeah.
Especially not eating junk to just be able to like bulk up, when you're not eating all that sugar, drinking a bunch of soda, like all this stuff
Mm-hmm.
that, I was 140 pounds before my surgery. So to go from being about 140 pounds since I was in middle school, dropping down to 80, and now like I can't break 110 is like,
Oh, you will,
holy
girl. You
crap.
will. I mean, if you want to.
Well, I am. I'm slowly with a lot of work, and it's muscle, which is different than just
Mm-hmm.
gaining a bunch of fat because of unhealthy habits,
Mm-hmm.
unhealthy eating style, like
Mm-hmm.
just all of that, which I think I'm used to seeing the instant changes on your body, but it
That's
doesn't
how we're
happen that
taught.
way when you're
The entire
yeah,
system
yeah, right.
teaches us that we want quick fixes, but and a lot of things can happen faster than you think, but this kind of like overnight type of thing that we've just been brainwashed to think, even if you can do,
Yes.
when you do it like that, it's never gonna work because you're going to get side effects. Our bodies doesn't like that kind of stuff.
And I realized too, a lot is happening internally, even if you can't see it. So you want to see the
Mm-hmm.
results, but I mean, especially in my case, there was so much damage inside my body. I shouldn't have been so focused on what the fuck the outside looked like. That didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was so much healing that needed to go on inside that should have been my focus, and that's what was happening. So much repair on the inside that the weight shouldn't have been a priority or anything like that.
We
But
also
now that
live
I
in a
can
we live in
actually
a
work out,
superficial material world, so it's hard. But I think that as you grow and understand these things, like it becomes less and less important. And eventually, when you start focusing on your inside, the outside comes with it.
it does. And something about cancer too, honestly, like facing death, I didn't do the chemo route. It's like if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. So I
Mm,
used cannabis and yoga. That's all I had up
I love it.
until Acemannan
Hmm.
and aloe vera. To where I was like, okay, this is my life now. But it's amazing to me that I've been able to find an alternate route. It's just really hard because no one will give
Hmm.
you the time of day. Like,
Hmm.
even at points in the medical field, like I found some really great doctors, whether they were my PCP or oncologists, that will listen to me and work with me and not just dismiss me.
Hmm.
That was so hard. That took 25 plus years to find.
Yeah.
It it's wild. And you can really see why people struggle so much. Like it's kind of the wool was just fear goggles. I don't know, however you want to phrase it. It's like when you have the most fucked up glasses on and the lenses were just taken off and you can see clearly now and you're like, oh, okay. Everything was rigged. Everything like the doctors have to know that the what you're eating is garbage, that what they're doing isn't really like it's all a system. They're all in on it together. And I guess it kind of took me a while to really realize that. And I can't even form that into words because it's such
Yeah.
a mind blowing like
But I think too that
what
the
the fuck
people that
moment.
work in this are obviously not starting this career knowing this. Most people don't know it. So they start this career, and then I think that, so a lot of the time they probably don't know, but then I think that a lot of people are probably seeing or starting to see, but then don't really want to see that because that makes them a part of the problem, right? Because
Mhm,
if they see that, then you're like, wait a second, I've been hurting people, and like
mhm.
that is probably difficult to accept too, So, but they have to, and at the end of the day, if there are doctors working with this and realizing and saying, no, I don't want to do this anymore, nobody would hold them accountable for that. So, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
hoping that more and more see it like that and don't feel like, okay, you did that, but you didn't know, and at least you're making a difference now.
Well, I learned too, one of the wild things, and any women that are suffering from anything, whether they think it's endometriosis, if they think it's cancer, and you're being your own advocate, I learned when I finally got a PCP that would listen to me, that if you take a simple blood serum test, so you usually get blood work at the doctors all the time, they check your levels, this or that. A CA 125 will check for elevated numbers for cancers, for certain markers. If one person had just done that throughout my life, I would have been diagnosed much sooner. But because I wasn't in the age group, or I looked fit, or when I was really sick, they thought I was a junkie, whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't even pop in any of their minds to run these tests. So much pain could have been avoided, so much time could have been saved, so much everything. So that's something I say to a bunch of people, like, ask your PCP to request a CA-125 blood serum test. You can
Mm-hmm.
do that any point with any other blood work that you're having done. It's so
I
simple,
think
just
though
to
that
rule it
for
out if you're having issues.
a lot of these things we have to know because you have to know to ask for it. And that's the kind of crazy thing,
Hmm.
right? We go to the doctor because we don't know, and then we go for help because we don't know, right? But that's the thing, like
Yeah.
knowing what we know, like I am my own doctor. If I would ever need to go to a doctor again, which hopefully I will never do, but I will go in and say, hey, I mean, I have been to the doctor once since I left the medical system. I got like a food poisoning once, and it was bad to the point where I couldn't breathe. So I go to the and I'm not even breathing. And even in this state, not being able to breathe, not know what's going to happen, I'm still aware enough to go in and say to them, this is what you're going to do. Don't give me any medication. All I want is this test. And I still have to know that in this state of not even knowing if I'm going to survive, but that's unfortunately how it is. So I go in and they say, oh, we have to give you this medication. No, you don't, I said. No, you don't. This is what I want. I want this test, and this test, and then you give me the result, and out I go. And luckily, like while I'm in there, I started throwing up, and then I was able to breathe again. So it came out because they just wanted to pump me into medication. I said, no, no, no. And then it all started coming out, and I said, see, I knew my body was going to deal with it itself. I still want to know what happened, though, because I could have left traces of some damage in there. And luckily, I
Hmm.
said, they never figured out what was wrong with me. Literally, I got no answers. I just paid a fortune to get these tests done to show that they had no clue what was wrong. Isn't that interesting? And then I go home with my test result. I just briefly consult with, like, I have some friends that do holistic medicine, right? So here's the thing, I don't believe that medication shouldn't exist. There are occasions when somebody is so sick that you need to take a medication right now because it's like life or death. I'm not against it. So I called my friend. I said, hey, this is what happened to me today. Clearly I am not okay. Something got into me. We don't know, they don't know why. And I said, do you believe that I need to take an antibiotic or a medication in this scenario? And I didn't. But the thing is, if this person whom I trust would have said, holy shit, yes, you gotta do, I would have done it. Like, there are occasions for sure. Like, sometimes you're in an accident or something, and I mean, like, they just have to, that's what it's for. But it's become like misused, and it's just being used for anything right now. Oh wait, you have a scratch on
No.
your nose. Let's see what medication we, like.
Well, you saw during the pandemic, like, yeah, I've been living the yoga lifestyle for a while, and since 2016, I've been preaching like healthy lifestyle, natural immunity, stuff like that. And you saw during the pandemic, like natural immunity, you couldn't even use that hashtag. You couldn't talk about it anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a thing, and now it's like something people don't want to acknowledge, even though
Yep.
no one's talking about COVID anymore. But still, somehow natural immunity is not a thing. Like they just
Mm-hmm.
wiped the slate clean with that. People, yeah, now you need a vaccine for everything or a booster for everything or
Which is the main cause to
yeah,
all disease.
since I've other than going in to have a pelvic exam every so often and blood work done just to be sure about the cancer, after changing my diet, my lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
educating myself a bit, you really don't need the doctors. And I'm finding
Oh.
I'm not getting sick that often, especially
Mm-hmm.
since like taking Acemannan. Like there was a bad case of, I guess, a sinus infection that was
Mm-hmm.
going around. Like people that I knew were getting it. My partner got it, but with taking those pills, I did not get sick the way they did.
Yeah, so because
Sucks to be you guys.
it turns on your immune system. That's the main key to what Acemannan does. It turns on your immune system, so it actually works the way it should. Humans are not meant, I'm not saying nothing can happen to us. Of course it can, but it's not meant to be the way it is. Like, we're meant to like get sick from being hurt in war, or maybe we like catch some strange thing out in the forest. I don't know, but we're not meant to just get sick from everything, because some people get sick from everything. It's crazy. And also obviously stem cells we talked about. I think that's how we started talking, that the Acemannan boosts your stem cells up to 400%. They obviously, because they're a hospital, so they want to use the Acemannan with chemotherapy and radiation, right? Because they're hospital, so they kind of have to. The recipe ebook they give to cancer patients, it's mind blowing. It's literally sugar in everything.
Dude, they gave me a nutritionist, and they started telling me that I should drink Ensure to help gain weight. And I was like, okay, kind of in a morphine haze at first, like coming
Mm-hmm.
out of surgery and stuff the first couple of days. So I'm doing what they tell me to. And then when I'm actually like looking at the ingredients of the Ensure bottles, like you're saying, there's shit in there. There's high fructose
Yeah.
corn syrup, there's
Mm-hmm.
color, there's dyes in it, there's all sorts of stuff where I just had surgery to get this crap out.
Yeah.
And here you're pumping it into my system. Like, what the fuck?
That's why we gotta educate. I had this man with bone marrow cancer I helped now. So I had to tell him, because he was in the hospital getting blood transfusion. So he started the Acemannan. He was taking like 10, 15 to 20 capsules a day. They give him 2 weeks to live. So he starts the capsule, and I said to him, here's the thing. You're gonna go to the hospital, I said, and you're gonna have, so he had his sister come, and I said, your sister is gonna bring your food, and you are gonna politely reject everything they offer you, because they will give him chocolate muffins and stuff. And I said, you're just going to say thank you, but no, I have my own food. And I mean, this man is incredible. He's like, actually, that's a different story, believe it or not. He felt so good. He's old. He felt so good that he started taking his Harley Davidson out every day, and he got hit by a drunk driver the other day. So now
Oh
he's back
no.
in the hospital. And he's like, Maaxx.
Like, he was
And
that
I just,
good that he could even go out on his bike. That's
yes, he
fucking
feels
amazing.
incredible. He lost like 112 pounds too, because he's like, oh my god, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it through this. I'm like, dude, you cheated death once already. You can't die, man. I'm like, just stay strong. And now they telling, I was like, just keep taking the Acemannan. It's like, no, they took everything away from me. I was like, you motherfucker. I was like, where's the hospital? We'll fucking come and invade the hospital. Like, is this where it's gonna come down to? That we're gonna have to go on road trips and like attack and break into the hospital so people can get their products?
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, they take it
So they
away
just
from them.
wouldn't let him have it?
Mm-mm. They didn't do it for the cancer
Dude.
first either. For the cancer, the nurse took it away from him, and he started a fight with them. So the doctor came and looked at the bottle and said, no, it's okay, he can have it. So I was like, why couldn't they now? Because they're just trained that way. They don't care to look. They just like, no, that we've been told that you can't have anything.
And even that, the ego of the person, especially
Yeah,
when each individual is different and every body responds differently to different treatments, why wouldn't
yeah,
you have every option available or want to know as much as you can? That's that just shows right there the ego of some of these medical professionals, if you will.
yeah.
Like,
They're also just told to do a certain thing, and they just follow every rule. Like, I don't know, some of us are just not rule followers and we question things, but we're also taught that we're not supposed to do that. Don't be that person. Don't question things. No, question everything.
no,
You should
yeah,
question everything.
yeah,
Always.
no. I
So,
have an aversion to authority. I can't. I have to question it. Like, I can't
yeah,
not. Yeah, it gets you in trouble a lot, but
eventually it won't.
no. Let's hope.
This is how we're gonna save the world. To get into the Acemannan then. So when you started taking the Acemannan, what was your condition then? Are you cancer free?
Yes, now cancer
Mm-hmm.
free. I was dealing with all the side effects of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
was still, while my bladder was working and I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a catheter anymore, there are points where I'll still just, like, I'll be in a conversation with you
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just piss myself. There'll be no warning that it's going to happen. The bladder just kind of does its thing. And it'll happen at nighttime too. Since taking the Acemannan, I've that hasn't happened. I haven't woke up to that happening either.
Wait,
I'm
that's
not
huge.
waking
I didn't
up.
even know that. I didn't even know that
Yeah,
part. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and that's an embarrassing thing. I don't tell many people. I've posted about it a little bit in my stories and talked about not knowing if it's like incontinence being a side effect since the surgery or whatever. But it's embarrassing, like
Is
I'm
it?
only 35 and here I am just in my pants.
But if you think about it like this, so it's you didn't cause that though. I mean, indirectly, somehow, obviously, you did
Inadvertently.
something in your life when you were early that made you get cancer, but also you were young, you didn't know, and then the doctors didn't exactly help you prevent these things because they don't know. So I don't think you should be embarrassed. And like, I've been online talking a lot about, female issues. Like, I had a whole live once about yeast infections because back when I used to go to the doctor for my health concerns, all the medication would give me yeast infections. And I kept asking them,
Uh,
why? And they just said, well, and then they give you another medication. I said, no, I don't want a medication. I want to know why I get it in the first place. Knowing better now, I haven't freaking had one. I can't even remember. So, and I mean, like, yeah, that may be embarrassing, but is it though? Because imagine how many other women that probably have it also that think it's embarrassing and just waiting for somebody to talk about it. So I think we need to
no,
like
you're
not think that way because everyone's dealing with stuff. And when you finally speak about it, then suddenly you're gonna have like 40 women be like, wait, me too. Because that's always what happens. You think it's embarrassing and then you realize how many people were so happy you did.
no, you're right. You're right. But yeah, that's one of the side effects that and even though it wasn't happening like every day, it's not like I was peeing myself every day. It was happening enough that I was like, dude, like this sucks. So that was the first thing I noticed where it's like, wow, it's been a few months and it hasn't happened once. Like
That's incredible.
amazing. That's
Well, Skunkofig
absolutely
used to
amazing.
shit himself, so he's talking about it all the time now. We also thought it was embarrassing before. But now he doesn't.
Well, I think when I first started, I swear it helped me purge my system because I feel like I was shitting way more than
Oh, yeah,
normal.
it does.
But once I got over that,
Hmm.
then it was good. I think it was just helping me purge. Um,
Yes, it
but right off
definitely
the bat,
does.
sleep too.
Hmm.
Um, I've always hated the transition of waking up like from sleep to awake. I like don't talk to me,
Hmm.
don't engage with me. Like I would indulge in coffee before, like almost unnecessarily. Like it would even help me poop. Like since my surgery, like my bladder and bowels are fucked up. So coffee was more, oh, I like the taste and it's gonna help me poop. So
Hmm.
let me wake up, let me drink my coffee, let me do whatever. Since the Acemannan, oh, I can poop regularly. I've got plenty of energy. I can wake up and not be groggy. That transition is amazing. I'll actually talk to you in the morning and not tell you to fuck off.
I know. Do you
I'm
know what
not pissing my bed at night.
I used to drink. That's crazy. I love that. That's like the coolest thing about it all. As I didn't even know that part. I used to drink like 3 coffees a day. I have like 2 coffees a week now, just for the pleasure of the taste.
Yes, yes. And see, so I have issues like PTSD and stuff like that, and I see a therapist weekly. So I've been treating myself where it's like, oh, if
Hmm.
I've had a rough week, I'll have a coffee that week. And but even that, like you're saying, I don't crave it, and there are weeks when I don't. So maybe I only have like a cup of coffee a month, like just one, which is astounding
Now
going from every day needing it to
all the coffee people, they're like, no. I have some people that be like, I would never stop drinking coffee. I was like, no, you don't have to. But trust me, I was that person. And now I just like, because in some way you wake up and you're a little tired, right? So you feel like you need the coffee. But when you wake up with
Mhm.
energy, you don't even think about the coffee. So you don't, I mean, people are like, no, I'm never going to stop drinking. I'm like, so don't. You're just not going to
You
have it
don't,
as
yeah.
much soon.
No, exactly. Like if you like the
Hmm.
flavor, by all means, but yeah,
Hmm.
you don't need it for anything. Like whether
Hmm.
it's to wake up or I was using it as a laxative, whatever the fuck the case may be. Yeah, you don't need it. It's helped with my mood. like I said, I wasn't able to take a patch, a shot, a pill, anything involving HRT, which has been a nightmare. Like even as
Are
far
you
as
still
mood swings
using
go,
HRT now?
they were trying. Yeah, they were trying forever because ever since when did I get okayed? I think it was like 3 months after my surgery, and
Mm-hmm.
nothing was going right. And they were worried that I was so at risk for osteoporosis because I have osteopenia that I needed the estrogen, that I needed to be on HRT.
You
And then I
don't.
was tired all the time, and this and that, and all this other shit. Yeah,
I would love for you to take the hormone regulator. It's a natural hormone regulator from wild yams. So we extracted diosgenin. I used to have horrible ovulation issues. I mean, to the point where I would swell up so bad I couldn't barely walk, and I'll be in excruciating pain. I don't know when I'm ovulating anymore. If I don't look on my app, I don't even know. And I'm bleeding for 2.5 days. It's like the most incredible thing. And my goal is to like help you actually promote you some and get some people to order under you. Then you can get more of the products because you're only using the Acemannan. You've only seen a snippet of what we got.
mm-hmm.
And you've already
No,
felt
that would
this.
be
So
very much appreciated. And like you said, like I'm not like you can cut this out or leave it in, I don't care. But like I know at one point I was talking about the finances. You went and bought art, and you're like, "Girl, manifest like this and that." Like you even went online and bought some stuff. Like I do the struggling artist thing. Like I can't be a cog in the machine for many reasons. I have 13 dogs. I live in the middle of nowhere,
I know,
Maine. Like
I love that.
and I don't have luxuries. Like I just got myself a new phone, and by new phone I mean the phone's from 2022, but it's new to
Mm-hmm.
me. Like
Yeah.
like I'm not rolling. It's not like I'm out buying the newest iPhone and like neglecting my health or anything like
Oh,
that. Like
when I started with the Alvea products, like I used two products for months, like Immune Limitless, Acemannan Buildings. Now, girl, I have a whole pharmacy in my closet over here. I have so much backup product because, like, I was like, please, you take all my money. Like, what it's done for me, I was like, I rather spend my money on that than a million other things now. But you also need to like you need to get an experience and a feeling in something, and that's when you switch priorities. I don't need to pay for a sports car anymore. It's no longer a
yeah.
priority for me. I'm glad I did it
Mhm.
though, because now I know that it didn't make a difference for me. And
Well, you
I
had some
think it's
fun. You
like,
got to experience it.
yeah, because I also think, oh, you're a struggling artist, but are you like, if you really think about, like, you do these things you love. Do you know how many people that maybe would change their entire life if they could do art, but they think they can't because they don't have time? And if you wanted to, you could stop doing art and go hustle and make more money, but would it make you happier though?
Right. No, that is peace of mind over, that's the thing. And I guess that's what people don't understand when they're like, oh, let's just go on vacation or come fly out to LA and let's do all this stuff. It's like, well, let me see how much money's in my account. Like,
That's why
which is
I
fine.
was just
I
in
don't
Cayman
care.
Islands for free because Alovea does trips every year. I'm telling you, let me help you here. I've
Well,
already gotten 2 free trips, one to Mexico to meet the kids we nourish, and then one to Cayman Islands, all paid vacation.
that's awesome. Oh man. Yeah.
So it's
No, that'd
like
be
we can
cool.
have all of these things also. I still love doing content, but I used to shoot commercials for a lot of big companies that I don't do anymore. A lot of these companies I stopped shooting for because they're not saving anybody.
Yeah.
They're not, and
You
I
want to work
am
with
much
people whose
rather
morals are like yours.
my much rather sitting and doing something like this. I'm recording you now and editing a freaking great video that might save some people's lives.
You're kind of rising above it. Like, not that you're thinking highly of yourself, that you're thinking you're better than anybody per se, but you're above it, and you want to bring other people up with you instead of just, I don't know, just floating along to
I
get
think
by, I
everyone
guess.
needs to think like that. Like, you need to think that you're the shit. I think I'm the shit, but I am the shit as me. I can't be
Hmm.
you. Like, you are you. Nobody can be you. And you can be
Right.
the freaking best, you know? And we all can. I've been competing and stuff. So don't get me wrong, like I'm a competitive person, but I competed for the world title 4 times. And I had just as much fun all of the times. There was no difference for the times I didn't win.
You value the experience versus just the outcome or the reward, the
Yeah. And
being
also
idolized.
the end goal, like I love the journey to things. And let's say that, and I always explain it with my world title, when I said it wasn't that special, because first of all, I loved that entire year to prepare for it, and I had already decided for a year prior that I already was the world champion, and then I worked as if I was. So when I won, it wasn't that special. You also only get crowned for 5 seconds and then it's over. And then what? If you focus so much on the end goal, you're not going to get happy. People think, oh, when I have $1 million, I'm going to be super happy. Are you though? Because when you have that, there's something else you're missing, you know? So you always have to just love the journey to everything.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
And think about how you used to feel and how you feel now. Isn't that incredible?
Wow. Just the amount of energy I have too is why I felt like it was an uphill battle where it couldn't be explained, where it's like, okay, am I down because of my PTSD? Mental health says no. Is this related to the cancer? Well, they think it's the HRT, but no one can give me definite answers, right? But since taking the Acemannan, I'm not as grog, and I've only been taking it for like 3 months now. You know, it really
But
hasn't been that long.
I'm going to say this. Thank you for sticking through for actually 3 months, because there are a lot of people that do it for 30 days and they're like, I didn't feel anything. And they're like, this is not working. And then they stop. And you're like, but you know what? It is working. But if you were, and I don't necessarily think people need to do it, but let's say if you had actually taken a test, you would have seen that things are happening in there. But you don't necessarily notice it even if it's working in there, because like you said, first
Yeah.
it kind of detoxes you, and we all know that a detox isn't always necessarily the ultimate scenario. Like, yeah, everybody detoxes differently, but things have to come out of you, and we need to
Yep.
detox our whole lives. I
Yes.
do, like coffee enemas, oil pulling, like we always have to cleanse ourselves.
Mhm.
It's not like something you do once in life and then it's done and done. No. Like you live and you eat, and once in a while you get some shit in you. Yeah, no, you know?
It depends what you're doing otherwise too, like how you've already maybe have changed or implemented change in your lifestyle. Like, are you eating McDonald's every day and you're taking Acemannan and you expect within a month to be different while you're still eating McDonald's every day? Like, maybe change your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there were even things that were happening that I didn't realize because I was focusing on the things that I noticed had changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I noticed my mood and my energy and me not peeing the bed. I didn't even really notice that my knees weren't bothering me anymore when I was doing yoga, and I could really put
Mm-hmm.
pressure on positions like that and not avoid those poses.
Mm-hmm.
And just like I have trigger finger, but it's in my thumb, so my finger will get locked up at points. The only cure for that is injections, right? And they can only give you so much cortisone injections. I've only had one, but since the Acemannan, my finger is not locking up. It's not
Have you
an
heard the
issue.
Lonnie
I can,
story? Have you heard the guy Lonnie? His hand used to lock up every day, and in
yes,
3 months
yes,
it's locked up like one time.
yeah. It
Yeah.
prevented me, like, I was like, okay, I'll start doing like pole dancing again to build some muscle. And I couldn't do it because of my grip with my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't lift my own body weight. Like, even getting into like crow pose and stuff in yoga, I was like, man, I'm going to injure myself worse trying to force it. But taking the Acemannan, it's not bothering me. I can actually do it. And I'm like, oh, wow, look, there's something else I can work into my routine.
It's like, do
Awesome.
you start to like see how it's hard sometimes to explain to people what it does? Because it's like, I don't understand. How can like one thing do so many things? I'm like, it does.
Yeah.
It's just because it just turns on your immune system, and your body is very smart. It's not the Acemannan that does all of these things. All it does is turn on your immune system. So now your body is doing it to itself.
it should be. Well, it's
Yeah.
giving it what it needs to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine if we had an actual system in place with both the medical system and the food provided to us that worked this way. Like,
Yeah.
we would just feel like this. We wouldn't need miracle pills
Mm-hmm.
or like.
Yeah.
I'm grateful
Because
for it.
we're just taught that if you have knee pain, you do something for the knee, and then you have a headache, and then you do something for the head, and then you have a pain in the finger, and then you do something for the finger. But that's not how it works. Like, all we gotta do is just make sure your body can just handle, like, your body would take care of everything if it can. I have Acemannan hair now. It wasn't something I thought about. I don't even have. I took out my hair extensions, and my hair is like crazy. Which, and I was
Okay,
like,
see,
what's going on with my hair?
I'm glad you said that. I'd always shaved the bottom half of my head because it was thick. And
Mm-hmm.
even with me cutting my hair and thinning it, I'm like, why is my hair so thick? Like, why can't I get it so that I'm not having hot flashes? And I didn't realize that it makes your hair thicker. So you're saying it's made your hair thicker. My hair already drove me crazy with the thickness, and it's getting even worse. So that's what like, why is my hair growing so much?
Yes.
Why can't I thin it
Well,
out enough so that
so,
I'm like not having hot flashes? Like,
oh.
it
Yeah, so
saved
yeah,
my.
well, it makes everything better. So apparently then, if that is what's happening, this is actually how your hair is supposed to be. But
So I look like a lion.
how about we instead, if we regulate your hormones, you probably won't be getting hot flashes.
Yes, yeah, that'd be nice. That would be
Yes. I
nice.
think that is,
And
I don't
also
think
not
it's,
being at like risk for osteoporosis.
you're not going to have
Like,
osteoporosis. Not at all.
yeah, no, thank you. I would love to try that hormone stuff out. Like, yeah, that'd be great if we could. Thank you for all your help.
Yeah.